Chair Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold. Banyan Gold is a Yukon explorer with a 6.2 million ounce inferred gold resource right on surface with existing roads, existing power lines on the property, telecommunications. We're in a really exciting jurisdiction in this Tombstone or Tintina gold belt where we've got producers like Victoria Gold and exploration projects like Snowline. It's a very exciting jurisdiction, and we're adding value for our shareholders with what we've done in 2023 and what we plan for 2024.
Well, I want to hear about all of the above. Stock's taken a real run for the last sort of couple of months, actually, it seems, or certainly six weeks. Exciting times out there in terms of gold price, but let's talk about the stuff that you're in control of, which is what have you been doing since we saw you last back in March?
So first we put out that resource in May, and then the technical report in June. 6.2 million ounces at 0.61. We had 4 million ounces a year ago at that time. We drilled 50,000 meters through 2022 and into 2023 to come out with that 6.2 million ounce, which is what we said we were going to do. We wanted to deliver a resource that was over that important 5 million ounce threshold. And then at the same time, we started drilling early in the spring. So this year, again, we drilled another 25,000 meters. When the fall started to come and we saw that the market wasn't really appreciating drill results, even when you're adding ounces like we know we've done with what we've drilled, we decided to stop drilling and make sure we maintained our treasury. So we drilled 25,000 meters, impressive program. We've put out results showing that we've connected our two primary deposits, which is our power line, which is the biggest one, and the one we discovered in 2019. It's now almost 4 million ounces, and we've connected it with Oryx Hill with the drilling that we did this year. We still have more results to put out for that into the new year. We've been really, really focused on some of the technical work, the metallurgical work that we're doing, digging deep into that, making sure that we're doing full range of tests to show the optionality of this project. We know that, bottle rolls on pulps came back with 90%, but we want to do the full testing from heap leach through, flotation, to CIP, CIL, because, the economics are going to drive what this project is and who builds it. So stay tuned for that. And we're doing a big program, and we're planning another program on that to 2024. Again, when we stopped drilling, that left us with a strong treasury to go into 2024, which is partly why you've seen our share price, really recover. As people can see, we've added value. We're adding value. We're going to have strong news flow into 2024.
Great. Let me try and understand it as well, if you don't mind. So some aggressive drilling this year, and joining up power line with Oryx Hill is good. 6.2 million ounces, like the beginning of this year, can only be bigger after that drill program that you've done. When you're talking about a drill program for 2024, what type of drilling and for what purpose is that drilling being done?
Well, that's a good question. And, we haven't announced what we're going to do with the money we have in the bank quite yet, because it'll depend a little bit on the market. We've seen, if it was last fall, drilling, nobody cared about drilling. Why would you drill another hole? I think the market in 2024 is going to be different, and we've got to make some of the choices. Do we to continue to grow this? We can see the potential for 8 million ounces, but do you need it to be that big? We can start to infill. We can drill for the intrusive. Remember, we're still in the meta sediments that are around this intrusive. All the work we did this year and some of the technical work has given us some clues to where to look for that. So we're really digging in through this winter, and our technical team is working hard on all the range of options that we have, so that when we go into 2024, and we'll probably announce, February, March, announce what we're going to do, but it's going to be based on having dug deep into what we have and really making a decision on how we're going to add the most value for our shareholders, because, simply drilling to add ounces might not be the right answer. So stay tuned on that. But I'm a big shareholder, remember. I'm a 4% shareholder, and I purchased that in the market. I've never sold a share from an option I've exercised. So I care about our share price and really adding value for shareholders. So, I don't have that all now. The work that we're doing is really going to make sure that we add a lot of value.
Okay. So I appreciate that. And I think people should pay attention to what you just said about buying shares in the open market. That's unusual. Okay. In a good way. We're looking at the kind of conversation we had back in March. We were talking about sort of 0.6 grade, and obviously scale is one thing. Grade obviously makes such a difference in terms of the economics here. And I saw some headlines out in September where you were, the headline was like 1.66 gold over 16 meters. But what are you seeing, or what are you what are you trying to do in terms of improving the grade? Was that not really a kind of driver for you?
You want to actually understand, or we're trying to understand where the high grade is, the distribution of higher grade. And we can see a rough, southern and northern east-west trends through there. And you can see it in the sections. If you look on our corporate presentation, we know that there's some high grade areas, some of them are right near surface. So a lot of the work that we've been doing is focused on understanding that and drilling it off. One of the areas that we drilled off where we deepened power line was an area where we knew we hadn't captured some of that southern, lower, deeper, higher grade trend. So all of that work has really given us more information on that. And if you looked at the sensitivity chart in the resource, in the 43101, we picked 0.25 and 0.3, so we kind of look like Victoria Gold in the scale and the grade of the resource. But if we'd have picked 0.5, we would have had 4.5 million ounces at 0.95. Closer to a gram. So where is the distribution of that 1 gram material? Does it hang together? That's all some of the work that we're doing internally, taking a look from a mining perspective, because this is an inferred resource. So that's a geological pit. Taking a look from a mining perspective, where would you mine first? Where's your phase 1 mining? That's going to go into some of our considerations for what we might drill next year. Do you drill off your phase 1 mining pit because that really gives people more confidence and that's your higher grade? That's where you get your faster payback. Eventually we'll work towards a PEA. We're not in a rush to put out a PEA. The market hasn't appreciated them. It's really doing all that technical work and groundwork to figure out how you add the most value and where that high grade occurs. So I think that, I'm pretty excited about the work that our technical team's doing, and it'll really let us be well set up for 2024.
Right, and it kind of informs your decision making. I totally understand that. And I guess you mentioned a couple of comps, obviously Victoria Gold being one of them. I spoke with John, I think back in November, and there's a lot of parallels for sure. But there's also a lot of lessons to be learned in terms of, not just what the market is appreciating in a difficult market, but what it could appreciate in a stronger market, which we all believe. I think general consensus 2024 should be a good year for gold. But in terms of the way that they have approached their projects, and maybe some of the it's mining is tough, but some of the difficulties that they've had along the way, does that help kind of shape the way that you allocate your capital better? Do you feel that you're going to be more efficient as a result of looking around at what others have done?
Oh, absolutely. Don't go through life with blinders. Take a look at where you can do better than somebody that's gone before. And pioneers and the first major heap leach mine. Yeah, there was the Brewery Creek mine, which Victoria Gold just purchased, which is super interesting as well. We can learn a lot from and we have a lot to be thankful for. The substation that's on our property is there because of Victoria Gold. The new power line that goes across our property that has capacity is because of the development that's gone before us in this area. In fact, there's fiber optic on our property. So, there's both stuff that we have to say thank you for making our capital costs less and lessons learned. Is our project a heap leach project? We're not sure yet. We've got to wait and actually do the technical work, and the economics are going to drive what the project is. And quite frankly, there's going to be a mill somewhere in this district. I look across the valley and I watch those drills, the lights of the drills at Raven, which is Victoria Gold's new exciting prospect there. And some of those higher grades, is that a 3 gram deposit? That's not going to go to a heap leach pad. We can see it. We've got great infrastructure. I think that gives us optionality. And you look at what Victoria's got with Gold Dome and Brewery Creek. You look at what Snowline's got. There's going to be more discoveries. We've got one existing heap leach facility in the area. I think eventually somebody's going to put a mill in. Where that goes, and so I think it really is important for us to understand all of the processing options. And it's just such an exciting district. Where do you have new discoveries that are being made in a tier 1 jurisdiction, a safe jurisdiction like the Yukon? We made our power line discovery in 2019. Look at that Raven discovery, that high grade right there. It's less than 4.5 kilometers from us. So I think this belt is just starting to warm up, and in the right gold market, I think the Yukon's going to get attention again.
And talking about discoveries, you got to be efficient with all of the dollars that you spend. But what's it kind of costing you in terms of the ounce discovery?
So we're still at about under $7.50 an ounce, and that's
wow,
6 million ounce. And we actually did some regional exploration in that. So our first resource was $2 per ounce, so there was no money to spare. And as you grow, your cost per ounce probably goes up a bit because you're going further out, and kind of the low hanging fruit maybe you've got. But I still think we have the potential for discovery on our Nitra and even our AurMac property for new areas. So yeah, we're taking a look at that as well, because there's a lot of historic alluvial mining on our Nitra property there off to the west. Gold Dome, which Victoria Gold just purchased, is a known intrusive that's gold bearing. So interesting times. I think we're learning so much about the geology in this district from the discoveries that we've made that's going to help all of us.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like I say, keep coming back to this, and I know you'll inform us in terms of what you're going to be doing next year soon. You'll give guidance, but 6.2 million ounces, probably going to be bigger than that by the time you next talk to us. It for the market and for your shareholder base. I mean, I think you talked last time out that your shareholder base was changing significantly into more of an institutional, profile, as it were, which is great in terms of people who hold for longer. But what are they looking for you to do? What is their understanding of their read of the market, and is there any sort of pressure from them for you to do things a certain way to as you move forward?
Well, I think all of them want you to spend your money well and add value. The focus now is going to be a bit on de-risking this and really showing that it's an economic project and can move from exploration into that pre-development and development phase. Are we going to do that? I don't know. I think if the market heats up, we probably won't. But we're going to tee it up in all the areas. And you'll notice in our new slide deck, we talk about permitting and the fact that we already have all the baseline data. We started our baseline data in 2021. We have all of the data from Hecla right beside us, as well as Victoria Gold. We're doing that work so that somebody comes along and knocks on the door and says, hey, I want to look at your project. We've got all the pieces. We've got the geology and the exploration potential to have the scale that companies need. If you're going to develop a project and you don't have, projects under 5 million ounces probably aren't going to move forward. There's just, people aren't willing to invest the capital or the risk. Then we're going to have the technical work, the metallurgy, understand, the geotechnical, and have that ready. Understand the baseline environmental, where the infrastructure can go. That's important as well. And you'll notice some of our drilling this year, we took some big step outs because we do need to find some edges to start to think about where you'd put infrastructure so we can show that we've got enough room for this project to be developed here. And then, so you have all that. And then meanwhile, we go down the track, advancing it, de-risking it ourselves, growing it. And it's a balance between the de-risking part, the getting it ready for permitting, and the growing the ounces versus, moving them to indicated ounces. So all of that stuff that we are weighing very carefully. And we also have our other project. I haven't talked to you about our Highland project in a long time, but, we kind of looked at it and went, wow, this is actually some pretty good grade, 0.86. It's 86% recoveries from column leach tests. We were thinking, where can we find the next 2 million ounces that's the cheapest? We thought, well, is it on that project? So, we've done that back out and take a look at it because, sometimes and we've learned a lot from the geology at AurMac. That's applicable to that. So I think 2024 is going to be very interesting on numerous fronts.
Right. And what do you think are the key things that you there's a lot you're doing, and you're doing things the right way. Okay, you guys are making this easy for someone to come in with a balance sheet and build this. Like I totally get that. And it's rare to hear people talk about doing things the right way. Most companies don't actually really have a clue. It's just drill, and hopefully someone takes the problem away. But what do you think the most important things are? Obviously, you're sitting with 6.2 million in inferred. I suspect that's going to be one of the kind of key drivers in terms of really delivering against that value. Because you'll argue, and I think you'd argue correctly, that you're undervalued at the moment at this sort of $100 million company. It doesn't feel like a $100 million company, but what are your top three things that you need to deliver next year to move that valuation along?
Well, we need to deliver on showing what the economic flow sheet or flow sheets are from the metallurgy. That's important, and that is something we'll deliver on. We need to show that there's continued exploration potential and how the high grade can be optimized or what we understand about it, because I think that will be important and sure of a value driver. And then just the district, the fact that it is such an exciting district. It's a district where you can permit. We have one settled First Nation, and that's another key part that, making sure you keep the community on side, the First Nation on side, that we intend to make sure we do right as well. And all of that really is what's going to position this project. And if you look at our slide deck, it's always been about strategically positioning this project. And, should we see gold really take a run, there's going to be a lot of M&A in all over. And which projects are going to be the most interested? Well, you got to do the work to make sure that yours is in that top 5 or top 10 that people are looking at. And actually, if you look on the scale of resource with our 6.2 million ounce, we are the top 5 or the 5th largest undeveloped resource in North America. So we're in kind of rare territory already. And everything we can do to make us stand out even more is on our sheet for next year.
Okay, and you raised some money back in May, but it's just over $6 million from memory.
Nope, we raised last December. We raised 12.2 in December this time last year. So and
sorry,
we're sitting with $7 million in the bank now. So we were very prudent with our dollars, and we can do a lot with what we've got in the bank. Conflating
my numbers. Apologies. Okay, so good for cash. Is the thing that you're the thought you're leaving me with. Look, Tara, thanks very much for giving us that end of year kind of roundup of where you're at. Say one of the better ones. Both Marilyn and I like this immensely. So stay in touch. Let us know how you get on. Sounds like you're going to be quite busy next year.
I'll stay in touch because I think we're going to have lots of exciting news flow in 2024.